siren storms. Down by the shore, pirates in the port of paradise.
No, I will say.
Hey, room mariners marinated, swinging one north with their heads a bigger store. This'll run gar in paradise. Pirates in the face, taking what they may, arming overboard what decorates indoors. Taking home decor, please not award more. It's the pirates of paradise.
Fair. Worst case scenario, I think one of
it really does just cut out like that.
One of the
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Pirates of Paradise. It's a Monday morning.
One of the
Tuesday,
projects that I'm not working on,
and we're starting the day off right. Quar has been frozen in time again. I have the whisper of a mustache on my face.
stationary.
So sorry.
There we are.
And we're back. Cool.
Okay, we're back.
Solid. Yeah. You cut out there for a little bit.
Oh yeah. I was talking and I was like, oh no, my John is frozen.
Yeah, my core froze immediately. It's a bummer.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
What did you say?
The only thing I was going to say is that designing that background graphic with the inverted ziggurat is something that I'm supposed to be doing, and I should be doing that.
Correct. I should add that in. It'd be nice to have like a bunch of different cards that we could just sort of cycle between. But
That's true.
That's maybe something. Yeah. Something we can probably discuss.
That's a future project. I'm just shaming myself for not having moved on it. Public shame.
We can discuss it in our business apps. We can discuss it in our business, or not business apps. We can discuss it in our business meeting, which is going to look a lot like this meeting, but maybe on Discord.
Hell yeah.
Paradise listeners, that's what this looks like.
Hey, Pirates, if you're wondering, hey, what does it look like when they meet for business? Looks like this, except this is where my camera is during business meetings.
Yeah, I go. Hello?
Yeah,
that's an idea.
Thanks. Yeah, dude. Hey, do you guys? Hey, what do you guys think about this? And you guys are like, what? Because I've never connected my own Wi-Fi. It's because I'm anxious about wireless internet.
That's fair. That's fair. If you don't have a little bit of techno fear in this world, what are you doing really? Like, what are you just watching? What are you just watching South Park? And if so, did you pay for it?
Yeah, I think you might just be watching South Park because there are good reasons to be afraid of technology. Like there really are.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Let's start a little bit, I guess, today by talking about how I fucking smashed it with my predictions. We talked about this yesterday, so I won't harp on it for too long. But yesterday was not a podcast episode. Mandalorian Season 2. I fucking nailed the space piracy. I nailed it. Pirates can't afford the corporate class cruisers that go to big space. All they can afford is to sort of leech on the outer rim of a planetary system. Ooh, that's why they exist in on normal road instead of light speed travel. Which kind of makes sense, I guess. Like if you just think about like what things really get pirated in like the real world. Like sometimes people take like hijack planes and stuff, but compared to like carjackings, nothing.
True. Like I think that as we discussed the other day, more likely than not, I think because piracy occurs on the fringes of the system where you can't keep track of your assets all like that, right? Mm-hmm. And so piracy would still in space, would still occur on the fringes of the system where you can't keep track of your assets like that.
I was gonna say
you said you got the sea platforms as well, right?
Oh yeah, the sea platforms you got. I didn't predict that shit.
Okay.
They have sea platforms. Ooh. Also, I was gonna say hijacking. That reminds me of like funny joke. So hijacking. My cousin's kid is named Bo, and if he were to be kidnapped, it would not be a kidnapping. It would be a bojacking.
That's pretty good. I like that.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder what the etymology of kidnapping. I mean, the etymology of kidnapping is obviously like, you snatched a kid, right?
Or probably
But
like
like,
kidnapping, take him.
okay, kidnapping. It was so prevalent that people. It's like, yo, John, I thought kidnapping. Yo, yeah, you like you did this evening.
They're when your kid has narcolepsy, narcolectum.
But I was just thinking about an aspect of Joey Diaz's comedy is that he always talks about the kidnapping. He's like, I thought kidnapping was like I didn't ask for a ransom for nobody, et cetera, et cetera. Like kidnapping is when you take someone from one room to the other against their will,
Which is
right?
not what he did, by the way. Which is not what he
Yeah,
did.
no,
He's
that's
like,
definitely there was
I
a
love
machine
his
gun
fucking
involved.
criminal logic. He's like, it's when you take one, it's when you take a duel from one room to another. It's like, no,
No,
but
he's like,
he's like, oh no, but you stuffed him in a car and like, brandished a gun at him.
well, yeah, no, I think he assumes that the logic behind the logic of the microactions behind the drug rip are not foreign to the listener, right? Because if you're like, okay, I'm with you with the drug, like I was following you until the drug rip, then the kidnapping, right, isn't that much farther.
Yeah, oh yeah, because like honestly, a lot of his stuff is just like really good advertising for like, and this is why I'd rather shop at a legal store. So you should really legalize a lot of this shit so that at least you can like keep track of who has problems.
True, no,
like these
exactly.
sorts of things. Like I'd be I would be
Correct.
fine being on a TSA list of might have a good time, check him out.
Oh no, surely, yeah, no, like this guy's been known to have a good time, so we
Listen, he's
need to
been known to
check
have
him
a
before he
good
gets
time.
employed.
Don't let him have a good time on his own. Don't let him get too many listeners unless he has too many listeners, at which point he's an institution, not an
Yeah.
individual.
Yeah, hey John, we know you got this podcast. We know you like to have a good time, but you can't have a good time above 10,000 feet. It's the law, right? It's the law.
Oh
And you're like, it's
boy,
fine. I got my good time on ice. I got.
we have a closing checklist in space, okay? And what you gotta
I got.
do is you gotta follow this thing, or we'll throw you out.
I got a smart piece. I got a smart piece. You need to put your thumbprint on it every time you rip a bong. It samples your DNA.
Oh my gosh. There's just like a bio lock on your we were like talking about like biometric safes. There's just like a biometric lock on your safe, but it's just a flashlight. It's like we need
No,
a little bit of your DNA.
that would be if we were ever like a Kardashev, well, we wouldn't see it, but if we were like a Kardashev one post scarcity type of civilization, it'd be interesting to see like, do you think that you would maybe, I don't know if there would be any incentive to, but I feel like you could engineer a substance or maybe like engineer even like a version of like the cannabis plant that like has some sort of use specific modification,
Oh,
like in the same
speaking
way
of
you,
which, it already exists. I don't know if you've been hearing about this at all. And to be
no,
fair, I will not promote this in the sense that people should go and try it because I haven't done
yeah.
that yet. So I'll hit you next week once I've guinea pigged it. But there's this new development with weed called like Delta 8 THC, I believe.
Hmm.
And basically the long and short of it is that it's just supposed it's like so like for a long time the growing model was, oh, it's legal in like 2 states, but illegal in like 48. And
Hmm.
globally, there's a market for weed. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna make it strong as fuck. One, so you don't have to smoke as much of it.
Yeah.
Two, so it's just way easy, like way cheaper to transport, like
Hmm.
per unit value.
Per, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, per unit value or whatever.
Hmm.
Or not cheaper to transport, but more
But like
cost effective.
more,
Cheap,
it's yeah.
time cheap, time
I
cheap.
guess there's more. The specific THC is higher. I guess like
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
more THC per volume or unit of yeah.
exactly. And then and like that
Yeah.
phenomenon exists with like all sorts of drugs, right? Like that's just part of like the economics of the drug game. Like I want a Biggie song about how fentanyl was created. But he's like, step one.
Yeah,
Heroin
no.
was too weak. Step,
I'm trying to think about
step
what.
three, fentanyl foam out of my cheeks or something. I don't know.
I don't know.
But
I don't know.
But yeah, that's just like, yeah. So drugs get stronger just to like make
Mhm.
packaging cheaper or whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah, distribution, all that stuff. Yeah, it just kind of makes sense. Like
Yeah,
yeah.
but Delta
But Delta 8,
HTT.
yes, correct.
Yeah.
That's the one I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Delta 8 THC is like supposed to be the
Mhm.
same thing, but like with less anxiety. But again, I can't vouch for it because it could just be K2 for all I know. And K2 is
This is true.
fuck
This is
shit.
true.
K2 is
And K2
hear
comes
me
with
out.
markedly more
Hear
anxiety.
me out. The fuck shit captain is saying don't do fuck shit like that because no.
Yeah,
No.
no. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, no. Yeah, no, it's not good. It's not good. In fact, I think that's today's episode of the Pirates of Paradise is sponsored by not doing K2. Neither John and I have done K2. That's how we're able to bring you the podcast.
Exactly.
That's exactly how.
Listen,
if you're
like,
wondering how we were able to get to this level,
we have
that.
yeah, I've done things that take me to the edge. K2 pushes you over. K2 is the fucking plank on this ship, and I'm not trying to tread it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no. K2 is the last number in the combination Davy Jones locker. It's
Mhm.
it's yeah. It's the grody part of the seafloor, let's say.
Yeah.
But
We're spice traders,
not,
but no. He
no.
controls the spice, controls the universe, and I already have too many like messianic upstairs tendencies. It's just the way I process the world.
Oh,
I have
fair
no
enough.
control over it.
I sent a really good Instagram
Not true.
meme to Kellen, and it was one of those impossible like optical illusion figures, and it was like, I am cut from the cough of God. I'm a piece of shit. Nothing is real. I would need something to eat. It's like it's like those are the feelings. Those are the feelings you feel
Yeah.
as a youth, as a masculine youth.
I would like to think that those will never change. That like I'll still because I think at a certain point it trends away from arrogance and way more towards artistic flair.
Mhm.
Because like meeting a 50-year-old person that isn't broken like by all human systems is impressive as shit. Like I just like
True.
I like hearing old people that aren't like, oh maybe oh, sometimes when I drink moonshine, my I get a headache. No. Fuck off. Like no, just enjoy what you do when you do it. If you don't, then don't. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it
yeah,
makes way more sense to me if you just like yeah, enjoy things in
yeah.
life.
Exactly, and then yeah, that is kind of a good point. And no offense to I guess there are many reasons for which your life might be enjoyable or unenjoyable, regardless of what you do. But, oof, if we're like, yeah, don't get to the place where you're constantly bitching about voluntary actions. I suppose like
Oh yeah.
that's not the place to be.
Do you think okay, so how prevalent do you think like I mean, I guess of all time like everybody participates in like fashion and clothing to some extent or another, but
Hmm.
to what degree do you think like internet culture and shit has like made that more of a permanent fixture? Because I would like to think people be dressing out here more than they used to, but I
Yeah,
can't say that for sure. But I mean
yeah.
I would hope and like I would hope in the future that that's more the case. Just be like,
For what? How I would say it's largely post-industrial and maybe like well to the extent that like you need to like unless you are the person who is producing the most style and garments or you can afford to pay the artisan who does without ubiquitous clothing most people would not be dressing in that way and I
yeah,
figure that probably even after we got the ability to make textiles in bulk most people still weren't dressing so maybe like early 1900s people like really started dressing you know
oh
what I'm saying
for
like people
sure,
were
yeah,
the
yeah.
like the commoners, I suppose, because also around that time is when people started wearing like underwear, right? So
Which some may say. I think that's what there's like some. It's actually like some pretty famous people's writings on this. I think Ted Kaczynski said the Industrial Revolution and its consequences in reference to undergarments uh, 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 is the destruction of the human race or something like that.
mhm.
He said, "Fruit of the loom is man's undoing."
That's one of my few anti Kaczynski's. Well, I guess I'm anti. I think I'm anti cowardice bombing. I
Oh,
really think I
for
am
sure.
anti. I'm
Yeah,
anti mailing bombs in a hard way.
yeah,
I
yeah.
really am. Like, boy, if you're gonna detonate a bomb, at least be there.
Oh,
Don't
for
detonate
sure.
any bombs.
Yeah,
But
and definitely, yeah, for sure, don't detonate any bombs. Two, well, yeah, here's the thing, like with him, I th he definitely did it in like the last time I think you could in any degree, and he made sure
yeah,
for all future time that you couldn't.
yeah,
And
he ruined bomb delivery.
yeah, he
He really did.
really ruined it. He really did because like I think you got on like a bunch of Greyhound buses and stuff. Yeah, I know too much about it.
Yeah.
I know too much about it. But
No. Like, because well, we both watched like the same series, I think.
yeah.
um,
Now what has been done, man can't stand himself. Oh well, you nailed up they
I
belong.
but
Oh, so
my
good,
my thing
so
is like,
good.
we know you're dead and therefore not a listener, Mr. Kaczynski, unless you're listening from the afterlife.
Mhm.
Underwear is pretty tight. You ever one? I think I don't know. I think that if you're like, I think that like maybe the
I'll say of the things that feel like getting hugged, getting my twig and berries hugged by tight fitting boxer briefs makes my day every day. So
oh, no, it is up there. That is up there. I was just gonna say that I feel like maybe in comparison to like feminine undergarments, male undergarments are sort of slacking, but I think that's mostly like an innovation problem, not a problem with the technology
I would
base
like to
itself.
say that the materials have greatly improved as well.
Oh yeah.
Because
Oh yeah.
like
Oh yeah.
I think they went like, oh, okay, because like yeah, no, not like okay, I won't say that markets are perfect systems because you can, it just depends on who's producing things, like and what they listen to. But ooh, consumer, ooh, yeah. Like my dad, one of his favorite things in life is talking about his undergarments. He's like, oh, I got some nice thermals, by which he means like long johns. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and he's like,
I am not a sponsor. Not a sponsor.
yeah.
Yeah.
But he's just like, oh, I got some real nice thermals. I got some real nice thermals. They prevent my thighs from chafing. And I'm like, oh well. At one point in time, like imagine working in a coal mine and you got nothing. You got nothing to
Oh
prevent thigh chafe on top of like
yeah.
your black lung. You just got like
Yeah.
chapped
You just
bleeding
have
thighs.
dust in your denim. It's just
Yeah.
it's like dust, denim, dust, genitals.
I was gonna say like
That's
you
the
have to like
layer.
chalk up your legs like a power lifter, but like
Yeah.
like with like random dust from the mine around you. You're like, what is this? Like anthracite?
Yeah, just ooh, bituminous coal, just
You just
like it's baby powder, like it's
you're
baby powder.
the like dip that you chew so that you can feel like you're breathing. You have to be like the
What
only
is
way I can get out of
it?
this cave. I gotta grease up.
No. Instead of brushing your teeth, you just take a hunk of sodium bicarbonate from the wall, have a little chew on it. It's you pull it directly from the shaft. But so I feel like I don't know, dog. I think commonplace undergarments are like one of the better things about modern day.
Hmm.
About the modern day, I would say. Like that's the fact that I didn't have to, and I am like I might even be. I'm pretty far into the category of individual who can make their own clothing. In that, like
Hmm.
I have like pretty thorough fiber art skills, and I can sew, and I understand how patterns work. And so, but still, even from that regard, and like I've had those skills probably longer. I've known how to sew for much longer than I've known how to operate a drill, like much longer, right?
Hmm.
And so, even from that perspective, I am still so happy I don't have to produce any of my clothing from scratch if I don't want to. Like it's so great, it's really hype.
So happy is the name of this episode.
So
We got
the name of this episode is "We're Thankful for Underwear."
or underwear.
Happy there, underwear? Question mark. The I don't know. I should start. I need. I really want to make like aramid coveralls just for the purposes of like. Okay, so these are my favorite pants. They're like high waisted and gray and really long and thick, and I really like them. But
Yeah.
I have no opportunity. This is why someone should take me on a date. You know why? Because I'll wear these bomb ass pants and you'll be really impressed. Listeners, I know we have a very small listening audience, but that's the primary reason I'm trying to go out and about. It's because I got these pants, man.
I got so
Uh,
many pants.
but
I got at least two colors of pants. I got at least two colors of
listeners,
pants and some pants.
listeners, do you know how many pants we're working with? I don't think.
We're working with pants.
Listeners, we've got
We're working with
I'll put my leg right in him. I'll put my leg right in him. I will.
I got one hole in these sweatpants. These are not
This
sweatpants, but
is.
these are a lifestyle decision, and I'm enjoying it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, also,
That's.
I've been a big slipper boy recently. Ooh, shout out.
Mhm.
These Polo Ralph Lauren slippers I found by a curb, and they've made my life infinitely better. Leaps and
Ooh, did you
bounds.
find them? Did you find them intact by the curb?
Oh yeah, I
Ooh.
found some little flippity flops too, and the
Some
weird
little flippity flops. You took them flippity flops. That's really funny,
yeah,
John.
and
Those
some
little flops.
yes, the weird sores that have emerged on my feet. I think nothing of. Life goes on. At least I saved 20 bones on these on these shoes. I don't
No,
give a damn
definitely,
about
definitely.
the second hand. I don't give a damn. Uh,
Oh no, I do
I'm
miss.
looking at
I
the
miss my
hours,
old
not the
slippers.
minutes.
Fair enough. Fair enough. What? Oh man, I was gonna say something that I had it and I lost it. It wasn't about slippers. It wasn't about the fact that I don't have my old slippers. It was maybe related to secondhand objects. Ah, I don't remember. But
Mhm. Well,
yeah,
yeah, I guess we could
yeah.
talk about that a little bit. So I don't know how much you know PA tax law, but in Pennsylvania, because our founding fathers were here, sort of like 7 ago, when Benjamin Franklin, in the city of brotherly love, we have no tax on wood. I think fibers to some degree. I don't know about like on an industrial scale, but like
Hmm.
essentials. We nailed it. We nailed it. We nailed all the good
Ooh,
stuff. We're like, oh yeah, you don't have to pay taxes for just doing like live-in economy stuff,
that's
which is good.
I was on the I
So
saw like an
food,
Etsy ad the other day. Oh, I'm
second,
sorry. I'm sorry.
oh yeah, food, secondhand clothing, for firewood, none of those things. You can all just do like yeah, you can have your own firewood business and essentially pay no taxes unless that's your sole source of income.
Hell yeah.
It's
Hell yeah.
nice.
I I saw this. The Etsy ad was for like handmade rope, and it wasn't. I didn't know how much rope that was, but it didn't look like that much rope. And I was like, hold on, people are just making rope out here. I can make some rope. Rope is so easy.
Hmm.
You just all you need to do is if you do that for long enough, you'll have a rope. I swear, of any diameter. If you take a bundle of fibers and go, listeners, if you're not. What I'm doing is moving. I'm rotating my right hand counterclockwise and my left hand. No, I'm rotating both of my hands clockwise from the wrist, I guess. Essentially opposite directions. One end twists forward, the other end twists back. You do it, you get rope. You really do.
And
It's like I watched a video
you
about it.
can really machine the process too.
Yeah, yeah. Oh no, that's true. They're easy. That's not the
Yeah, if you
easiest
don't
way
want
to
to
make
get
rope.
like
It's just
if you don't want to get all that wrist trouble.
oh no, that's true. That's true. You don't want to get carpal tunnel making ropes to splunk down those cavern tunnels.
The B movie really nailed it in their assessment of like what having like a physical job is like a job where you do a task rather
Mhm.
than a like a physical action task, I suppose. Well, I guess that's still a finer
Not like a thinky job, a
yeah, as
non-thinky
opposed to a
job.
thinky job, but
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I guess there's probably some application there if you're like filling out the same type of form every day or whatever in a thinky job,
True.
because yeah, those can become like yeah a whole thing anyway.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. But I understand what you're
But
saying.
yeah, what I'm saying is like like the scene where they're talking about like the dad and they're like, oh, he'd come home and he'd still be stirring the honey every day. He'd come home and his hands would still go in a circle. That is 100% what it's like. I still make sandwiches in my sleep. I'm not punching the wall. I'm putting my hand into an oven.
I I'm trying to think about whether or not there are definitely some behaviors that I've internalized from working. I don't know that I still have any of my Panera behaviors.
Hmm. Which is
I did have a dream that I rolled a problematic joint the other day, which makes me feel like I smoked too much weed. Which
but you're having dreams, which means you certainly are not.
this is at least at the proper times. At least at the proper
At least at the
times.
proper times, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
As long as your connection to the spirit realm is not completely severed,
Exactly. No, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I find some time to have my eyes move rapidly.
Mhm. I was thinking about that because, oh my gosh, I've been back on caffeine in a major way. People don't really think about it like that, but I definitely think about it like that because, oh my gosh, it makes my brain go boom, 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 boom. I sat down and just wrote a little bit yesterday. It gives me like maybe 15 minutes of writing time, but like
like
that.
per what unit of caffeine? What's
No,
what's
no,
the
no, no,
half
no,
life
no, no,
of it?
no, 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 no. The most I can do is like load up on caffeine all day long, sit down, be like, I can't fucking do anything right now, but I'm wired and I could fucking build a train from scratch. But what I'm gonna do instead is I'm gonna make words rhyme, and that's what I do for like 15 to 30 minutes tops, and then
Heard,
I spend like 2 to 3 hours trying to make that work over an instrumental.
heard.
And then
I
nobody listens to it. No, we
shout out
big
to
up. We,
John's band lab. Um, I I I don't know. I've been really taking CBS for this. Okay, there's this gum that's caffeinated, and let's say some of this gum I accidentally didn't pay for. Some of it, right? Some of it I accidentally bit, and so I acquired this gum. I chew it. It's okay. Like it's only there's like 45 milligrams of caffeine per piece. The recommended serving is like 2. My thing is that I really need above 100 milligrams of caffeine to buzz, but to buzz noticeably. I'm not saying there's no like physiological effect,
Mhm.
and I definitely notice. I notice the physiological effect of coffee, but I think that's mostly related to its like digestive effects. But
Mhm. He's talking about pooping. He's been
um,
pooping.
but I don't know. I honestly don't know how much I like this gum. I think that I definitely, because I've read that the best way to do caffeine is low doses progressively,
Hmm.
as opposed to like
Yeah.
loading on it. But and I guess I'm trying low doses now, whereas I used to load before, and so
Hmm.
I don't know.
And yeah, like I could definitely see that. I think I'd be interested to like. I was gonna say I'd be interested to read the science on it, but I'd be more interested in talking to like the one dude who's specialized in just caffeine, because that'd be an interesting cat to talk to. I think, although I
Oh
don't
yeah,
know
true.
necessarily. I think maybe you might want the dude who like, all right, yeah, dude, ubiquitous person who does like all of the things like research
Hmm.
wise.
As
Um,
far as like pharmaceuticals,
yeah, yeah.
specifically stimulants, mild stimulants.
Yeah, I'm really talking a pharmacist or like a doctor that isn't just a shell for like Purdue. So yeah.
No, fair. I The only reason that I'm thinking about this is that I got into a really good flow state while I was doing my dishes the other day. In that, so I twisted up a number. I burned the majority of this number. My 7 a.m. alarm went off because I've right now I have a 6:30, a 7, and a 7:26. The 7:26 is for this, but it's also just to make sure that I'm up by 7:30 because I got to leave by 8:30. So I I was nearly done with my bomber at 7. I went inside. I forget what I started doing, but I was like, I gotta brush my teeth because I was still rocking a couple of my Thanksgiving dishes because I'm lazy. You know how it goes.
Hmm.
And
I really do.
so I started doing my dishes and I was like cleaning my kitchen and I checked my phone and like I felt like maybe like 20 minutes and I was like, oh okay, it's like 7:30 right now. I knew that because like my 7:30 alarm went off. But then I was like doing dishes, and I felt like I was really productive. And I was like, man, I've been so productive that I think I don't have enough time to leave. And I checked my phone and I was like, oh wow, it's only Oh no! It was my 7:26 alarm that went off, and then when I checked my phone, it was 7:37. I was like, "Whoa! It's been 11 minutes. That's totally some condensed experiential time. That was a pretty good flow state I got into while doing the dishes." And it's because of drugs, and I was listening to government plates.
I would like to say, in regards to, I think it's not a coincidence that every musician who talks about like trapping it and like selling crack in the also talks about doing dishes in the kitchen. Because like it really is like not a bad thing to do while drudging, to be like, oh no, I'm just gonna clean a little bit, like
Oh
feel like
yeah,
less of a
dude!
degenerate, and that's not a bad
Like
thing.
Exactly, because cleaning is like, I won't even say the cleaning is boring because I'm not someone who minds cleaning. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
me
it can be a neat active thing to do if you've got like some tunes or like an audiobook, etc. You can really vibe while cleaning.
Oh, for
But
sure, for sure.
like at the front of the day,
It's been said that
it's
Jordan Peterson likes cleaning so much, but requires Klonopin to do it.
Wait, no, I forget. I don't know. I think he was on. I was trying to say. I don't think it was. Well, hold on.
Yeah,
I
I don't
forget
know.
what the drug it was. It was some kind of like. It
I
was a
think
benzo. It was a benzo.
yeah, I think it was just Xanax or something, probably, or some some deravative thereof.
Benzodiazepine?
Yeah,
Question mark?
yeah,
I don't. Yeah.
benzodiazepine.
Oh, I heard. But yeah.
Oh, that reminds me. I was reading because I was trying to find this name of a thing, but it's I still find like the publications on like drug names so amusing. Like there was some
Mhm.
FBI thing I was reading from a while ago that was just talking about like all the different pseudonyms for drugs, and every single one of them is called Bean. Every single one of them is called
Everyone.
Bean, which is also my white trash cousin's nickname.
Bean. Ah.
I'm like, oh no, don't name your kid after what you made, like the reason you made them.
And he said, Bean. Oop.
It's a bad idea.
But that's really so. So I guess bean is the vaguest you can be when referring to some form of inebriating
I
substance.
think it's just Bean is anything you pop, but it's been completely ruined for me, or not even ruined necessarily, but the punchline. It's Bean is an eternal punchline for me because the setup of the joke is just the Bean meme, where it's like
Ah.
beans, or our lovely podcast intro producer, uh,
Oh, true. He does.
distributors, on and off collaborators, content, Pour Beans in My Asshole by Victim Soul, perhaps
Yeah.
by under a different pseudonym, but whoo, lovely.
Oh,
Also,
it's definitely.
that reminds me, like I've been listening to like a lot of podcasts or whatever with just people, I don't know, various things, but like this one dude was like, ghostwriters are an interesting phenomenon to me because I like the idea of being so prolific that you can't possibly publish everything that you write. So you have to really get some people who don't do anything but have like a good face and like personality or something to just like go out and distribute. Like essentially it's like drug dealing but with your words, and I
That
respect
is
the game
really
of it.
interesting.
I respect the
Yeah,
game of ghostwriters.
I've never conceptualized it like that. Like my thought has always been sort of patron artist, they're commissioning a written work, etc. But I really like that model that you're a writer who's like so productive. You're like, I can't. They're not going to believe me. They're not.
Yeah, you're just like an organizing force where you're like, oh no. I write so much,
Yeah.
and my mind is so good that I can
Yeah.
take what I hear somebody else saying and go, I think you mean it like this, and they're like, you know
Yeah.
what? Yes, no, maybe, but you did the work, and I was not gonna really flesh out that concept otherwise.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. Which it's like
mad respect.
that's like when someone says something and you're like, man, that's really neat, and I happen to know a lot about it. It's just that with the profession.
Oh yeah, because like I definitely think about like things that would be a suitable alternative to having children, and I think having mind children in that sense, ooh, real good. Just to be like, oh no, these are all my idea babies. They're everywhere. These are all mine. Look at this world. I'm the Genghis Khan of good ideas.
Just call them good ideas.
I'm fucking prolific.
5% of the current ideas are directly related to ones that I came up with. I think I don't know. I guess a sort of middle ground between. I think maybe a sort of middle ground between like ghostwriting and having kids might be teaching if you have really strong curriculum that you develop.
Oh, that's true
Like,
too. I love teachers when they treat it like a set, right? Like they treat it like a routine that they do, because it is a routine that they do. Because they're like they are essentially like artists. Like if you're teaching history and you're teaching the same history class every year for like 30 years, you know the shit at a certain point. Like probably
yeah,
like past year like at least by year 5, you know all that shit for sure.
yeah. There might be like new evidence every once in a while, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
we really aren't uncovering a lot of new historical documents. I won't even say that that's true necessarily, but like
At least,
I think that the model for a lot of history is like, we really won't know what's able to be. We really won't be able to know what happened, but given the information that we do have, what survived, we're just
mhm.
looking for objects at this point. If you find an
Yeah,
arrowhead,
no.
tell somebody.
Yeah, no. I wonder the extent to which new historical documents are discovered, because I imagine most of them would be on the older end of things
Mhm.
that are being discovered,
I
but
would,
also I'm thinking that texts from that, like transcribed language from those times, would also be the most difficult to recover.
yeah.
Like, are
I
there
mean, like,
legal
because
documents that, like, from like
there's like dead,
1850 that people
yeah,
are just
like,
finding?
oh, I'm sure of the more recent stuff. There's a lot to be uncovered, just in like what people have in their family histories and stuff, because people sort of build libraries of personal information
Oh,
on
that's
a
true.
sort of
That's true.
scale,
Yeah, yeah.
and you're already seeing that. I think like with like just to like revisit the concept of like the ancestry.com type websites, you really
Mhm.
are seeing like a massive build in like just user data, like sort of, yeah, user sourced uh, data
True.
in that regard. And honestly, for like
Oh, yeah.
a tool like Ancestry, where a user's uploading so much like personal data just to make it
Mhm.
relevant, um, it really, like, you really should almost be paying those people rather than having them pay for the
Almost.
service. Yeah,
No, almost.
because it's really
It's
like
sort of.
it's like a captcha service that you
That's
pay for at
exactly
this
that's
point.
exactly what I was going to say. That's exactly what I was going to say. The and also I feel like I've mentioned my having to be a DNA sample service
Mhm.
stand because of my participation in them, but or at least the knowledge that I'm sort of clonable, I guess, is.
Mhm.
But my mom actually, while I was in South Carolina, she found her, like, she knows our family to. Hold on, let me think. So not okay. So from her is to, like, for me, she's 2 generations back. Her mother's, or I'm sorry, so her mother's husband, so her father, right? Not her father's father. I believe she knows her father's she knows her father's like 2 or 3 great grandfathers. So she has us like 5 or 6 generations back at the moment, which is like
Mhm.
pretty good. And that is definitely like a lot of history that, like, I didn't know. Like,
Mhm.
I do think that probably the vast majority of uncovered history is to be, at least that is to be uncovered meaningfully to you, listener, John, me, is to be like that sort of personal stuff. Or like
Yeah,
it's someone that
exactly.
somebody's going to tell you about their family. Like,
Yeah,
it's like,
exactly. Well, like,
here's where
just,
my family was.
yeah, like I was just saying, like the sort of like the intranet of your personal family, just like the little internal family network,
Mhm.
um, has probably like your parents or grandparents or relatives probably have an archive, like especially if you have like a lot of surviving female relatives. Think
Mhm.
about like just all of the moms out there who have kid pics, um, and like their child's drawings and stuff from when they were little that they stuck on the fridge. Like all of that's like historical document data.
True,
Um,
true.
and then also on top of that, like especially since the democratization of, at least in the U.S., of like the vote and shit.
Hmm.
Legal documents. You'd be goddamned if you think that people don't keep their voter registrations and like scrapbook it and all that.
Oh
Yeah,
no,
like
true, true.
my recently deceased grandmother, real big into scrapbooking because it was essentially like what Instagram was created around. Is like just the
Yeah,
concept of like curating your own personal history and public image and
true.
profile and stuff.
And it's important to do so. I would say it's more important to do so well now because your personal curations will never leave. So curate them properly, right? Like, two, I think that something that I have been, and this will probably be one of the last things that I say because I still have to put on my actual outer clothes before I bounce. But something I've been thinking recently is about the legitimate benefit of omnipresence. Like, in that there was a time when there was a long period of time, like, I guess before, like, 12 years roughly, before either of us knew that we existed, but we were both existing on the planet Earth. And I frequently wonder what my contemporaries were doing before I met them and what my future contemporaries are doing right now. And I think that's probably like the selling point of omnipresence as an ability.
Hmm.
And I think that
I think it is a
that
good.
sort of personal curation is what allows you to tap into that.
I think it is a good cure to like sort of solipsism, where you're like, because I think prior to where we stand now in terms of technology, it was a lot easier for you to go like, oh, I'm sure like intelligent people exist, but I think around here, I might be the only
Mhm.
one.
Yeah.
And I think that might be
Yeah.
the case. I think that all intelligent people might just find places where they're needed, and they don't really talk to each other because they're just mining like they're like I like to think of like the Disney Imagineers or whatever as just like
Mhm.
a zombie force controlled by Walt Disney's brain in a jar, and they're like asleep and dreaming, but the reality of the world reflects their dream state because of their job title. Like they're an
Yeah, yeah.
Imagineer, but like they literally are like engineering the world like a puppet. Like they're just like
Yeah, you should see. Disney actually does like really good robotics research. The ability those people have to like, if anyone were gonna like fund the creation of a real superhero, it's probably Disney. It's probably Disney because they can create the narrative, they can create the imagery, and they have pretty good robots. They really do, and like pretty good robots that are good at interacting with people. That being said, Disney Imagineers are a zombie cult. The ancient Egyptian versions of them, they all migrated to Atlantis and it sunk deep into the ocean. Their dreams, like in the similar way to Cthulhu's emanations from the sunken city of Rilye, their dreams are filtering up to us. That's how we're able to bring you such good content.
it's really good. It's really good. Hey, and if it's lacking, I'm not saying that it's our fault as bad channelers, but hear me out.
it's
Hey,
it's
hey, ever since they
it,
dropped the like intercontinental wire into the ocean, it's been shaky on and off. Really depends
no,
on their cable
exactly, the
casing.
connection is spotty.
Yeah, the connection's spotty. Yeah, you're just like, like, oh my gosh, yeah. Do you think so like in the same idea, like like the Doctor Strange concept where like there's temples on Earth, and I guess in Star Wars there's like a similar thing, like the Force temples or whatever, that are just like points where like the human force or whatever, the
Yeah,
spirit of the universe, life and everything
like when
is
houses are on
particularly
like
stronger.
spiritual ley lines. Like,
Exactly,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Uh,
Which like
But like, what do you think?
there's this book. Oh,
What
I'm
do
sorry. Say what
you
you gonna
what
say.
do you think those would be? like
Like,
every sports field of which there's a sports documentary movie to be made about.
yeah,
Um, but like, yeah, it
they
is
might
weird.
be.
It is weird to have that director mentality where you're like, and that's what this space is. But also have to have like the director mentality of that's all this space is. Like to think of like
Yeah,
a desert, it, like just any desert, and be like,
yeah,
there's sand here. We're making a movie about a rock. I don't care that it's Arizona.
yeah,
We're
yeah.
in a different
This is
country.
yeah. The
Because they
there's this
really
book called Planetary.
there's
Oh, say what
so
you're gonna.
there's so many things, right? And this is something like I like watching movies with my grandpa for this reason, because he'll be like, oh, I know that city, that's Toronto, and this is a movie. Just because like there's a lot of like he knows about like the filming process to some degree because he really likes
Hmm.
watching like all the like behind the scenes stuff. And I think he's
Hmm.
probably known some people or whatever in it. He lived in Cali for a little bit. I guess he's probably familiar with like entertainment industry stuff.
Oh, heard,
But when
heard.
he's like,
Okay.
"Oh, this is a movie about space, but that's Toronto this year," and it just really takes him out of it. Like he's like, because he can just spot it by the skyline. He's like, "Oh, I know
Ah,
what that is. I know what that painting is."
yeah, yeah. The there is there's this comic called Planetary, and it's one of the characters is a cat named like the drummer, and that's just his name. He's got drumsticks and he taps on stuff, but he essentially his ability is that he can like he's got like the abilities to like perceive and manipulate information in the raw, right? So whether that's like energy flux or like act like yeah, essentially he can perceive patterns of energy flux because that's essentially what information is, patterns of energy flux. And he can, in addition to like knowing like when there are like people around quarters because of like their heartbeats, like the infrared radiation, et cetera, he's also like, oh no, there's like some serious spiritual energy in these spots, right? Like there are a lot of like human memories bound up in this place. And I think that if you were to consider a fair amount of the metaphysical to actually lie in the raw informational domain, I think like informational ley lines, like both in the form of like people having died. There being documentaries about these places. There being strings and branches of people that talk about them, etc. Informational ley lines are probably real. Probably.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, just in the idea, events happen in places. And we're really just revisiting human geo as honor students returning to regain our honor because neither of us really did that class at all. But it is really almost all school should be about in regards to the human events side of teaching. Is like, oh no, think about it like in places and people and time, because that's like, yeah, history is just like today, except with different parts. With different
Yeah,
parts.
history is just like today, except we get to see the compound, like the interest from everyone's actions is already compounded.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I like the idea
But,
too of just like a future tool that is kind of like the Doctor Strange, like, oh, I've seen the future and there's only one possibility, it's possibly good. Because I like that, like I like the idea that like when you're happy or when you feel like you're doing like the right shit, you're like, oh no, it's because I can apocalyptize, because there are a lot of situations in the present that could end up apocalyptically, but my mind just aggregates all possibilities and calculates the probability, to talk about how much I like statistics, that all things end up well,
Yeah.
that I'm doing the right thing at this moment in time.
No, fair enough. I think that's really all we can believe in. I was talking. I know. I was talking to my mom the other day about how I used to think that I previously would have defined faith as believing in something, or as behaving as though you know something without sufficient evidence. But I think I would currently define faith as faith is like you trust the model that you have made up until now.
Exactly.
That's what it is.
Because I would say like some element of faith can just look like, oh, I'm operating in a panopticon of my own mind. I think I'm always being watched. Like it can look a lot like paranoid schizophrenia, like where you're just like, I'm always being watched. But if you don't realize that you're always being watched, and just go, watch me, I don't know. Like yeah, I guess it's the same argument when people are like, things are performative in life. It's like, yeah, then fucking perform, you know? Like, what do you?
Yeah, no, like I once got into that argument. Like, there's definitely like there's the you that you are, but you also choose to act a certain way, right? And some of those things you do to conform socially, but some of those things are just the way you prefer to be behaving. And the distinction between those is very difficult to make if you aren't the person, like the subject in question. And so, like, just because you don't care about the way you appear doesn't mean that nobody should. On that note. The snow is falling horizontally. I think I must bounce.
All right, ladies and gents, this is Ben. Pirates on. Pop, 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 pop.
Pop, pop, pop.
If you aren't aware this time, please hop on our Instagram so that you can discover our YouTube page, which you are probably watching us on now.
Hopefully.
Hop off pop.
You're going to want to subscribe to that. You really are. The podcasts are only getting better.
While you're there, give @QuentinCran a follow.
You hit it's John if you're curious about John Wood's life and times. If you'd like to see some found objects, some spray paint.
Found objects. I really am a crow in that regard. I like picking up shiny things I find on the ground. I was at work and I was picking up coinage off the ground and in behind the benches, and I gathered like maybe 25 cents in like loose change and put it right in the tip jar. Which is weird. I don't know how I feel about that because yes, I helped pay all of my coworkers, helped pay for my own time with money that people left lying around, and I'm about that financial acquisition theoretically, because it was something I was already doing, you know. But I really did make somebody touch some gross coins, and that's where I'd like to leave us today.
You really did. And listeners, try not to touch any gross coins.
Don't touch any gross coins. If there's anything you take away from today, it's gross coins exist.
Gross coins. Don't touch them.
Enjoy.